Yeah, Tobias, like I love to ask those questions because when I scroll, I'm right now on your LinkedIn, I see you've been at Piano, you're a member of Revenue Collective. So I somewhat understand what you seem to be passionate about. But what are you actually passionate about, Tobias?
This probably a bit of a cliche, but like many marketers, I got interested in the profession of marketing because I just can't stand bad customer experiences. When I, as a customer, buy something, and the way people sell to me, or the way that people
Really?
treat me as a customer, is not at least an 8 out of 10. Then I just get annoyed, and I'm thinking, okay, if this is what you treat me like, if this is what you treat all your customers like, then why are you even doing this? So I'm all about excellence in interacting with people. So buying and selling and doing it in a way that just doesn't annoy people, but leaves you with a good feeling about it.
Yeah, that's so true. Like, right, if you enter like a good restaurant and the waiter's already nice to you, then you know you're gonna spend more money there, like
it makes all the difference. And it makes you want to come back. It makes you recommend that place to your friends. So it really makes all the difference.
Yeah. It seems a bit like that you had an experience when it was particularly good or particularly bad. Was there such a moment where you said like, oh my God, like I can't have this, like I can't accept this, or it was so good I want to replicate it?
I have this all the time. It's sometimes it's the small things, and sometimes it's things pointing at more like structural problems within a company. Some examples that everybody knows might be you're dealing with an airline, and maybe you made a mistake, or maybe they made a mistake, but just trying to get a hold of them is so difficult. Or with Deutsche Bahn, German railway services, they used to be notorious for really bad customer service, but they got their act together and are actually have gotten better. I especially like when companies have a small sense of self-irony, when because that also helps in the customer experience. Like, just admit we're not perfect. We're not this big, huge, faceless corporation. We're just people. We make mistakes too. So there's a couple of good examples in that area. But overall, it's just I'm really happy about just good customer service. When I talked to someone, I just now had a problem with an iPhone case I bought, and it was one of the more expensive ones, and it broke. And I thought, well, this is not good. And then I wrote them, sent them a picture, and they immediately, apologized that this shouldn't have happened. We have a problem with the production of this particular model. We're going to send you a new one right away, and problem solved within 5 minutes. I thought, wow, this was nice, really effective. Cool. And then also, I think, from a commercial perspective, if you have this stuff in order and you're doing this, then your company has potential to grow.
Yeah, definitely. So if you would like break it down, because I assume you have thought about this before, like what does like maybe world-class marketing experience, world-class sales experience, like gets like or consists of for you? I know it's a bit of track, but I'm curious here, Tobias.
I think it really you can tell it apart by companies that say they are customer centric and companies that really are customer centric. At the end of the day, every company only exists because of its customers. You can never forget that. Sometimes when you scale a startup from very small to big, somewhere along the way, your different departments and teams might forget where your paycheck actually comes from. In some cases, it comes from the investors. Okay, point taken. But in most cases, for sustainable growth, it should come from revenue, and revenue is paid by customers. So for everything that you do, every decision that you make, you need to ask yourself, okay, what do our customers want? How do they look at this? And by that, I don't mean just generic persona descriptions, but actually talking to your customers. That's something that I try to do. For example, when we do case studies, I do the interview myself, or at least I sit in on the interview, because when I moderate webinars with our customers, that's when you really learn about their pain points and why they work with us, the things they like, the things they don't like. So that's what I really like about marketing, working with the customers to figure out what is it they want from us, how we can help them solve problems. So it's a very helper-oriented way of marketing.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I started this interview series, right? I wanted really to speak Like I want to understand how marketeers or revenue leaders like feel, work, and like speak. So I'm totally aligned with you on that. That's cool. And you see the difference, right? Like if you truly care about the customer, and if you're like, yeah, like not really. So
yeah, the thing is, I heard this in a podcast this morning. It's really about there's a business rationale there. Yeah. You're being nice not for the sake of being nice, but you're being nice and understanding and empathetic, because that makes you better as a business. It makes you more aligned with your customers' needs, with what people are buying from you. Yeah. And if you really nail that, if you live by that, then you're not being nice because of some. I think that blogger called it like a Robin Hood complex.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're being nice because it's good for the business.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to live by that.
The Robin Hood of marketeers here, but not really Robin Hood. You I love it. I love the analogy, and I think you're already segueing into like a big topic here that we both were speaking about. You are a lover of good content. You've done this at all, like every place you have been. Like your website is stellar. What's good content for you?
Good content for me is not just content that is well written. I take that as granted, but content that delivers value, where I read the article or I read whatever asset it is, and afterwards I feel, okay, this just made me smarter. This was 5 minutes or 10 minutes well spent. I didn't feel like they were selling something to me. Felt like they just had some good advice or some stats or something that I needed there and then. And if they do that, if a company does that on a continuous basis, then I will go back there. I mean, sometimes it even helps if they do good SEO and I Google a certain topic all the time, then this one company will come up, and then, okay, they're doing a good job there, both from an SEO perspective, but also from generating value. There was this this type of asset that we talked about
in the last call,
in the last call about something that really delivers value, I think, to a lot of people when you are in the early stages of planning an SDR team. You want to find out, okay, how many SDRs do I need to cover that many that segment, and so they offer a calculator. And that calculator is embedded in the wider content and outreach strategies. I thought it was just a brilliant way of doing it.
No, like shout out to Bluebirds. I read it as well.
Shout out to Bluebirds.
It's great. Definitely shout out to them. I already spoke to I think the CMO is called Mark. I think he forwarded the email. He hasn't replied yet. But shout out to the Bluebirds people in Barcelona. I think they did it. That was super good. And I agree. You want content that gives you an impact, like that makes you better in the work and so forth. So great point here. But what's the way? How do you prefer to consume content? Because there are so many ways right now. Like we have video, what we are doing right now. You can read, you can listen. What's your favorite way to consume and check out content?
I can probably answer the other way around. So the content types that I do not longer consume are white papers, ebooks, especially like PDF ones. That seems to be a thing of the past. And maybe that's just my bias, because I tend to ignore them. Because whenever I download one of them, okay, you leave your email address, your contact details, you download, you get access to the PDF, you download it, you save it to your desktop, and then it lies there for 4 weeks until I delete it. I'm thinking I'm going to read this later. I'm not going to read this. So by having this friction in the reading process, that I have to go through this gate, that basically, I think, for me defeats this purpose. So content that I like is just very easily accessible. It's well written. It's relevant. So I follow marketing blogs, some of them. I like analytics websites from consultancy specialized on e-commerce, for example. I listen to a lot of podcasts on marketing. The content that Pavilion, the network that I'm a member of, provides is also very relevant because it's produced by marketers, by other CMOs.
Great. Yeah. Curious, when was the last time you downloaded an ebook?
Actually, so I started this job beginning of the year, and I don't think I have downloaded a single ebook in this job. That must probably be, I think I remember the last ebook that I actually read and I thought it was good. That was several years ago. That was an ebook by Deloitte on automation. So that was really good. I remember that one. But after that, it's just basically just, okay, these are written by marketers, by copywriters that are probably good at what they do, but they're kind of missing the point because it's not really, it's hard in a long form ebook to really focus on one thing, and it tries to address a lot of different topics. But I think the topic content that is really good is focusing just on one topic and on one message at a time. I think that would be an important takeaway for me. Don't make it too complicated. Don't try to squeeze in too much stuff.
Exactly. Just drill down in one like pain point and then source really and make it actionable. I just from university, I love the Harvard Business Review articles, right? 5 pages, short content, 5 actionable bullet points. This is how you can apply like management solution or whatever. If we take it back to like buying decisions and so forth, how important do you think is good content when making a buying decision, when you're choosing between like 2 providers or when you're on a buying journey?
I think for my own part, it gives me extra confidence that I'm buying from a company who knows what they're talking about. So product marketing, product market fit, and a great product, that's of course the most important thing. That's what I'm buying from them. So if that is not if that's not there, then whatever content, however good the content you have might be, you're not going to be able to make up for product gaps or a bad product market fit. But on the other hand, if you do have that, then good content will serve as an amplifier. It will just make you so much more credible. And now I'm not even talking about all the SEO aspects of good content. That it just allows you, especially as a new brand, to be found. And then good SEO content is also getting more and more a prerequisite of good paid search. So you need to have good content on your website so that Google actually thinks, okay, this is a content that I can show in connection with this ad. So there are a couple of examples where we bought SaaS software for marketing purposes, and it actually helped a lot that that company also had a lot of good content. For example, during the sales process, that they always send you relevant case studies, relevant background information. Then I go to their website, I see they have an event coming up, a webinar. I'm going to register for this, and I see for example, then I see the person that's going to be my customer success manager talking there, and I see, oh, this is really a knowledgeable person. It'd be fun to be working with them. So to sum this up, it serves as an amplifier for your already existing product market fit.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's so important, right? You won't make a decision only based on content, right? Like if the fit is not there, but after that, it helps you to ease the buying journey, take away the risk, and just makes you excited about starting with that product. The example where you saying like, hey, I already signed up for a webinar and spoke to my future customer success manager. Nice guy, right?
There are a couple of companies that I'm watching, not going to name any names here, but they come across as basically content operations with an attached product.
Okay.
So some people are really embracing this, and they say, okay, and then the thinking is, you just need a lot of great and relevant content and be found for this topic, and then if you have something on that same page that you can also buy, maybe with a lower price point or even a freemium, then that's probably going to help you and in building that pipeline and in generating growth.
Cool.
So,
I
think there's one actor that many marketers know, which is Neil Patel, which has perfectionized that.
Cool.
Started out as a consultant, but now he has his own SEO software, probably something white label. I don't think he coded it. himself. But yeah, there's just so much. If you read about SEO, especially when you're a beginner, there's no way for you to get around Neil Patel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's basically a publisher turned consultant turned software vendor. Yeah.
not too bad, but I think that's a great example. And I think that the next question that we spoke about, and I know you love this, it's like the gated versus ungated question, right? I sort of have an understanding of what your standpoint on that is, but when should we gate, what should we gate, and should we even gate, Tobias?
So at different points of my career, I had different views on this. If you go back so much as 10 years, when I still worked in PR, the idea of gating content is completely alien to people working in PR. You want people to access it. Everything, information wants to be free. This is the mantra. You want people, unless, so you want to be in control of the narrative, to the extent that you want to give it to a journalist exclusively. But after that, you just want it to be out there. You want the message to be spread. The content, at least the content that you generate as a company. And then when you come to the marketing side, at that time, 2012, 2014-ish, it was all about, that was when HubSpot was growing so fast, the inbound principle, and one of the pillars of inbound marketing is the gated content piece, the lead magnet.
Yeah.
So HubSpot's strategy in its essence doesn't really work without gated content. And that's why this experience pivoted in this direction, where anytime you wanted that white paper, that ebook, or that webinar, you needed to leave your
contact details.
Your contact details. And for some time, people tried to get around that with a Gmail address and so on, until they started, no, you have to give us your business email address. I'm allowing that. And I think that's when I started to get suspicious, and I thought, wait a minute, what are we actually doing here? Does this really make sense? Again, looking at the customer experience.
Yeah.
Me as a marketer, okay, one of my short-term objectives is I want to generate a lot of marketing qualified leads, and I get those by asking people to leave their contact details when they want to access our content. I want them to identify themselves. And then I generate these marketing qualified leads, which I then put into these sequences. And when I send them enough emails and I maybe call them often enough, they will end up buying from me. That was the thinking. And I always thought that was a bit too schematic, had a bit of too mechanical view on how people make buying decisions, making it a bit too easy, applying a recipe that worked in some cases. In many cases where I tried to apply it, it didn't really work. And then a couple of years ago, I read this book by Latany Conan from Sixth Sense. No forms, no calls, no spam. I don't know if it's in that order. But many of us have read this book, and in the first chapter, she basically lays out this. The reason why this isn't working is that the act of downloading an ebook or registering for a webinar is not a good indicator of purchase intent. The fact that I downloaded this Deloitte white paper a couple of years ago and really liked it doesn't mean that I wanted to buy anything from Deloitte. I wasn't even close to being in their ICP. And as a matter of fact, I think we were even a competitor in that specific segment. So maybe they counted me as an MQL, but I should never be an MQL. So they enrolled me in these sequences, and being Deloitte, they backed off pretty quickly because they're not so desperate. But the thinking is then that, okay, you really need to dig a little bit deeper if you want to go to intent data. So there's different ways you can do this, and Sixth Sense offers one of those ways. But this that's when I realized it's actually a good idea to ungate most of your content, because it will do you a great service in SEO. So when we did that a while ago, and we published one article about a low search volume keyword that's important for our strategy going forward, and it went from 0 to first page result in a matter of weeks. That of course doesn't work with the gated content piece. And that's just stuff that you get for free. You can't pay for it. And the idea is that, okay, you put all this great content out there and people will find it. And then when the time comes for your SDRs to reach out to people in the ICP, you will already have laid the groundwork for a successful conversation. So I understand, so then I pivoted from, okay, content needs to be gated because I need MQLs to let's ungate everything because SEO, this is great for SEO and this is great for thought leadership, and you're just so much more visible, and you get so much more feedback on the content that you write. And now I'm more, okay, probably we want to gate 80 to 90%, ungate 80 to 90% of our content.
Okay.
So the vast majority is going to be ungated.
Yeah.
And then there's two areas where we want to gate. One is where we need the contact details to do what we say, to do what we want to do, which is hold an event, for example.
Yeah.
That's just plain and simple. We need your email address so that we can send you the invitation.
Yeah, exactly.
The other one is this really high value content that is only relevant to our ICP, and that comes with a built-in declaration of purchase intent.
Yeah.
And this is, for example, quizzes, questionnaires, self-assessment guides, ROI calculators, these kind of things, like the calculator that we saw at Bluebird. That makes perfect sense to gate it, because someone that wants to use that, that's really someone that is maybe advanced in the purchase process and should also be 100% within your ICP. It's just not relevant to anybody else.
Yeah, exactly. If you're spending, we know it from Gartner, right? You're already 60% down the line when you start contacting a rep, right? So they're probably even more down the line, or they're just close to that.
That's this whole dark funnel thinking, which it was in a way painful to read it.
Yeah.
Okay, like all the things that we're doing, the content that we put out there, all the events that we're doing, most of it doesn't really have an impact, because buying decisions these days, they happen in different forums.
Like I love this explanation. Like it's totally true. I also read that book. I was like, this space is really growing right now. This is the new way of buying, the new way of selling, and the new way of doing marketing. So yeah, that's fantastic to hear your story. And I think it's a lot of people right now. I speak to a lot of marketeers. Like I have the pleasure to speak to a lot of them, and they all say, oh, like I think we should like ungate everything now, like, or and it's this big shift that's, I mean, probably has always been there, this debate, but it's now moving more into one direction. So
for me, it comes back to the mantra: just don't be annoying, be helpful. And if you're helpful, if you're very helpful to the point that you solve a specific problem for someone that's just doing research, then okay, they should be rewarded with my data, and they should be allowed to try and sell to me. That's fine. Like in the Bluebirds example, that was just really just a nice exchange we had among peers. So that's what it should be like.
Yeah, love it. And then we could like continue on this topic forever, but I'm mindful of your time as well.
Yes.
Like I'm an SDR. I have a lot of SDRs that I speak to daily, and you are one of the people that most of the SDRs want to speak with you as CMO. So what's the craftiest way you have been prospected?
The craftiest way I have been prospected. I always like it when SDRs come prepared, when they have done a little bit of research and they have enough talking points or just enough experience with the industry that I work in to just have a meaningful conversation for it. I also really appreciate it when SDRs listen in the first call. There's no pitching, no pushing a product, just asking questions. So I'm always open for a conversation and giving away information. Just yesterday, an SDR called me And we had a good exchange, just nice and pleasant. And I said, yeah, now's not a good time. Call me again in a year, and this is why. And so I'm glad to give them this information, because also to save their time. And they know they can strike me off the list, but they can tell their manager, okay, this is not a dead end. Actually, we can talk to them again in 1 year.
Yeah, that's great. I hope we're doing good here, Tobias.
Yeah, absolutely. You're one of the really good examples, because you have good product market fit, and your SDRs are also just very well educated in spotting the things or asking the right questions. We try to do the same with the SDRs at Piano, where we just taught them how to read a prospect website, what to look out for, the problems that we think they have, that we can help them with. So trying this consultative approach. Have you thought about this and that? Yeah.
Cool. No, this is always going to hear, because like, you want to do a good job in the end, you want to provide value, and especially the point of like knowing the time when to pitch and getting pitched is, or like nobody wants to sit in a discovery call and like hear something about that they're not interested in, right? So ask a bunch of questions, and then you will say if it's interesting or not. Yeah. And then you have to strike and be there. What's your favorite channel to get prospected? Is it email? Is it LinkedIn? Is it phone? Like I spoke to Christian Weisbrot, and he said he hates the phone. Don't ever call me if you're not able to book a meeting with me through LinkedIn. Don't call me.
This is probably a bit unfair, because it's completely unpredictable, but it depends on my availability on that day.
Yeah.
And just my general mood, maybe. So if you're lucky and you reach me on the phone while I'm in a good mood, I might take the call, and we just might end up having a nice conversation.
Yeah.
But if I'm already stressed, and then maybe it's not a good idea to call someone. So I would recommend calling, because it has this sense of urgency, but then you have to be smart about it and really not pitch. If you're on the phone, you're stealing that person's time. You need their attention there and then. Have something relevant to say and to ask.
Yeah. Cool.
And there's a lot of good tips on the internet on how you need to design that phone call, those first seconds.
Yeah. Cool.
But then LinkedIn, it really depends. I'm really only I read everything. I open every email that I get. I open every LinkedIn message that I get, and it really depends on the content. What they are saying and what they're offering. Yeah. So the channel almost doesn't matter to me. It's really only about content.
Yeah. Nice. So if it's good content, if you say like product fit, then you're taking the meeting, right? Or like you are open to explain more.
I mean, I don't want to waste anybody's time, because taking the meeting means they will think that okay, this is actually, then they're moving me to pre-qualified opportunity or whatever they're using. And I don't want to be in that bucket.
Yeah, exactly. Please no.
Because I don't want to screw up your numbers. I don't want to waste your time. So I can be upfront and honest with you. We're not. Yeah. This is not going to end up. I can have a chat with you, but we're not interested in buying this right now.
That's perfect with expectations. It's so important, right? It's like, listen, like, and most marketers know that, but sometimes it's also like they just want to chat, and you sit there and like prospect, and they're like, oh, next steps. In a year. So I think that's a prime example. You have like just shared like really good examples on like, how to have a conversation, how to like speak to people like you, but heart of shame. Do you have any examples where you all said like, oh my God, like, please don't do that.
There's just a couple of things. So there's this one play that I see sometimes from companies, especially American maybe, is that I get an email from someone, and the wording is something like this: hey, I work over here at such and such, and my boss loves your product and loves your website, and he told me reach out to Tobias and have a meeting with him and just talk to him about the great work he's doing. And they want me to believe that this isn't an automated message. They want me to believe that their boss, who runs this company with 100 people working there, actually took the time to go to our website and like what he saw and then personally instructed that SDR to reach out to me and write this email. You want me to believe that that's not automated? That's backfiring personalization right there. So don't pretend that. Just basically don't lie. Don't pretend that this happened. Be honest. I think with people like me, you get a long way with a bit of self-irony and good content. So so that was really something that I thought was in. And then there's this, of course, this cold calling and not accepting a no. This is another interesting discussion. How many touch points? How long should a sequence be? What should the sequence consist of? And I think there you just have to test and learn, like you're probably doing, what works best. But at some point you just have to accept that, okay, when you're risking an unsubscribe from all the material, so where should you back off? Where are you doing more damage than good?
Exactly. No, that's great to know. And like, it has to be genuine, it has to be real. Like, personalization is hard, and it should be hard, right? It should not necessarily be scalable, like to an extent, of course, but like sending out a mass duplicate email to someone, oh, my VP said that you are great, you know, that's gonna backfire. So I speak about it daily. I had a conversation with Kyle Coleman, who's like, he's one of the thought leaders in that space. He said, like, Jan, it has to be hard, and it has to be difficult, and only a few can do it. Otherwise, everybody would send the same template and said it's personalized.
Exactly,
the key is knowing your audience and asking something that's relevant to them, and don't ask too much. Like, I'm not gonna ask for a meeting. You want to ask about if they're interested in learning more, or if they can point you to the right direction.
Yeah, exactly.
So no, thanks for sharing. Cool. Next topic, and that's a big one because you're really passionate about that. Building an SDR function. I think that's one of the major projects that you're working on. Why do you think you need an SDR function?
So here I'm going to quote a former manager of mine who explained to me, while having a full pipeline sales team just doesn't work anymore in our line of business. There are other business lines where it's more transactional, where this works. But so imagine you're playing soccer. First, you have to find the ball. So you're a sales guy and you're on your own. There's no SDR. There's a bit of marketing support, but not much. So first you have to find the ball, and you take the ball to the pitch. You pass it to yourself. You're in midfield. You pass it to yourself again. You pass it to yourself. You pass it to yourself, and you try and strike it. So you try and score, and you're doing that without any support. Maybe there's not even a coach. And then ball goes. It's not a good. You didn't score. You have to get back, get the ball, go back to start, and then when we're now. So that's a pretty sounds like a pretty desperate situation for the AE. So if you put yourself in their position, it's a hard job. I wouldn't want to do it. So how can we help them? How can we help them help the company? How can we really build this revenue machine where things go hand in hand? And if there's you can learn a lot of things from how the Americans do business over here in Europe. And one thing that they're very good at is sharing labor, dividing it up into different specialties. You're good at this. You're good at this. You're good at this. Let's specialize. So they're really good. They're very good at this. As a jack of all trades, you don't get very far in American SaaS. I think you're specialized. So that's what's the thing. That's the thinking now. That if you have someone that's good at closing, let them do closing and let them do just that. Let them be the rainmaker. But don't ask them to spend 30-40% of their time prospecting. Because they're not going to enjoy that part of the job. It's going to have an effect on morale. It's going to affect their goals. So hire people for what they are good at and let them do just that. And build the support functions around them so that they can thrive and that the others can thrive, and that at the end of the day, the company is growing and thriving. So this is the basic thinking behind that, and you should apply that in every one of your teams, not just in commercial. Great
answer. I like you know how to tell a good story and a good analogy, because that's so true. Like one of my AEs said to me, like, Jan, if you're not qualifying, like you ask me to catch the ball by myself and then I have to roll it out to the field. He gave the exact same analogy, and it was so clear to us, like we need to roll out the ball and then they can run with it. But if you're not even catching the ball correctly and giving a precise pass, I'm from sports, so it's a perfect example. I can't score a goal. Like it's impossible if I'm not Lionel Messi or whatever. So great analogy. Like you touched a bit upon this, like they need to be in the right seat at the right place. But what are the key pillars for you when building this SDR function?
I would say because when you work with SDRs, you normally work with junior people, fresh out of university, maybe had their first job.
I'm guilty.
So normally what people like that need, they need guidance, they need a mentor, somebody that has a plan, and then they can work with that plan. And over time, they will realize they will see the strengths and weaknesses in the plan, and they will come with suggestions. And some of them will actually find, okay, I think I'm good at SDR, but I want to move on. So you try and build this career path for them. So over time, it becomes almost like a career school for your own company. You're generating future AEs, you're generating future revenue operations people, you're generating future sales engineers, maybe even. I think it's just a great program to always have also the recruiting pipeline going for your commercial organization. But for that you need someone with a recipe, someone that knows what they should do, someone that can really be that coach, be that person that they trust, that they can come to with problems, because SDR, it's a tough job. You get a lot of no's. There's a lot of rejection, more rejection than appreciation. So you need to make sure that the environment is there, that these people can thrive. So we are now looking into first hiring the team lead, the coach, the man with a plan, or the woman with a plan. And then we're going to involve that person into hiring of the SDRs, because in football analogy, normally you come in and there's a team that you need to form. But I think it makes more sense that that person actually picks and chooses his own team. It's also to protect us a little bit in management, that if I put some guys in front of this new team lead, and then they can always say when it didn't work out, but you didn't let me choose these people. I can't vouch for them. So if they choose the people and they can vouch for them, then you take that out of the equation. So you have more sense of ownership. Of course, the cooperation between sales and marketing, that's going to be very important for us now. But everybody in sales is looking forward to this, to getting the support and helping us scale. So
cool. Great example as well. Where should they report to? Should they report to you? Should they report to a head of sales? Like, what do you think?
So if you look at the data, then the majority of SDR teams sit in sales and not in marketing. As far as I can tell, there's a shift happening, that more and more CMOs are claiming that function, or are managing that function already. And I think it makes sense to have them in marketing, because to me, the SDRs are the extension of the marketing funnel. They are like the glue where marketing and sales are together, like this joint. They're maybe the knee or the elbow and the arm or the leg.
Exactly.
So before, I used to have this problem, okay, we do all these initiatives and all these programs, and then I just throw leads over the fence. And then I ask a couple of weeks later, okay, what did you do with this? And then some worked out, some don't, but there's really not any connection, and not a real flow, not a real bridge of data. But when you build this, and within the marketing team, then they are very closely attached to your program. So whenever you do something, there's a clear follow-up plan from the SDRs. And then the SDR manager will make sure that things are delivered in the right format and with the right qualifications over to the sales team. And also, most of the content that the SDRs use, both the support content, but also the scripts, the actual email sequences, is normally done by marketing. So you can have a better alignment there, I think. And here at Kindly, we're completely aligned with the chief commercial officer that this should be in marketing, because our commercial our organization also includes customer service and professional services and delivery. So that organization is big enough already.
Yeah, no, and it's true. Like we, as an SEO, we really operate, and that's why the role is so great, because you learn both parts and you really work together closely with two worlds. So that's one of the great points here. We're closing. We're getting closer to Tobias. We are getting to the time. Like, what are you excited about, like in the revenue space for in the next like years? What development excite you?
I'm more into incremental improvements than really into revolutions. I'm really excited about what's happening in the ABM space. I think that's a welcome change from looking at leads, looking at individuals, looking at what's happening at an account. It's not for everyone, but for us, selling mostly into the SMB, into the enterprise space, where you have most of the time more than one buyer involved. Mapping out the buyer committee, being able to have like a 360 experience for them, being on different channels, is just something that's really very helpful. It's really about scaling an operation, improving our product market fit. There's a lot of interesting things happening on our product department, so I'm glad that our product marketer is on top of that.
Congrats.
Yeah. So yeah, it's upwards and onwards.
Cool. Thank you, Tobias. Anything else you would like to add? We had a lot of things, but like I just want to leave you space.
No, this was fun. Really. Thanks for the invitation. Thanks for having me.
Cool. Yeah. Really liked it.
I'm sorry, I did. Absolutely.